Today on the vlog. Boop. So I just wrapped up watching Community. I watched it all the way from the beginning all the way till the end. And I have to say, the ending wasn't the best. It was a cool episode, the last episode. But overall, everything really tailed off from about season 2, that conclusion. Everything from that point forward really trailed off until it eventually stopped. And I'll say this, one of the biggest reasons why I kept watching the show was because of Abed. By far, he was my favorite character. He's someone I related to for whatever reason. But I really loved his character. I loved the innocence about him. And so I don't want to get into like a review of Community because I have some rules to establish before I really start doing reviews of like television shows or probably even movies. But I'll say this: I think, kind of an oddball thought, kind of a conspiracy, if you will, is that really the show is about getting Abed ready for the real world. Because when we first get introduced to Abed, you can kind of tell that he's not really like just out of high school. You kind of get the feeling that like his dad didn't really know what to do with him, and so he just said, "Hey, I will send you to college, to community college." And I'm sure it was close enough to his home that it wasn't a huge deal. That it was close enough if he needed to be there, he could. So he sent them off to community college because he just wasn't ready for the real world yet. College is great because it's a buffer between the real world and living off of your parents, and so it's a good mixture of those two worlds. Because when you are an adult and you are living on your own, you pay for everything. When you're in college, you pay for the things you want, you pay for the things you enjoy, but you don't always have to pay for everything because normally their things are already taken care of, through tuition, through fees, through all those type of different things, and also sometimes parents will assist with all those type of little random things. Whenever I go back to college, they'd always say, "Hey, take this, or take this, take that, take this, take that." Not for everyone's the same experience, but I really think that this show is all about getting Abed ready for that real world. And I think for him, it took him longer. And so I almost wonder if he almost kind of orchestrated the whole thing, because he just wasn't ready yet. He found a best friend very quickly who was just like him, and maybe he thought that the two of them would go through the world together, and he was the person that he needed to make all that happen. And they graduated, and he was for the most part on his own, and his best friend was trying to do his own thing as well. And so I almost wonder if he was able to construct a way to get everyone back to the school again. But then another character passed away, and so in his passing, he challenged the one character, the best friend, to go off on his own. And so I almost wonder if for Abed, it rocked him a little bit, because then he needed to take a little bit longer time then to figure out the way to get back in there. And I think what helped him and what challenged him the most was not having that friend there with him to help kind of explain some things for him. He really had to step up and be his own person. And I think once he realized how to do that in the group setting of this study group, I think he was then able to then branch out for himself. Because we leave the show with him going off to LA. Because he's a film student up until that point. He'll do documentaries and he'll videotape things. So the show is really cool, and it will do kind of like The Office or Parks and Rec kind of episodes where it's almost documentary kind of style, mockumentary as they call it. And so it's kind of cool because I think really it's all about him getting to that point where he can just go and just be an adult and be on his own. And I'll get more into an actual review later on because I really did like this show, but again, there's some things I want to talk about that I don't have time to do that right now, because mostly I just want to talk about Abed because he was by far the biggest reason why I kept going with this show. So tune in for more, and until next time, peace be with you.